She touched my private part in shock. No creature could endure that unless you're human. Captain Elias Kane stared out at the alien horizon, the twin suns casting a pale orange glow over the jagged rocks of the planet Seraphis 7. His crew of 6 stood behind him, each wearing a tight-fitting exploration suit designed for extreme environments. They had traveled over 3 light-years to reach this remote world, following reports of strange energy readings no human had encountered before. The planet was silent, almost unnervingly so. No wind swept across the valleys, no birds or creatures moved through the jagged landscape. Even the air felt heavy, humming faintly with an electric tension that Kane could feel deep in his chest. "This is different," muttered Lieutenant Mara Jensen, her eyes scanning the terrain with a mix of awe and apprehension. Kane nodded, his mind focused. "Remember, everyone stay alert. Nothing here behaves like anything we've known. One wrong move, and we could be walking into something deadly." His voice was steady, but inside, a small thrill of excitement surged. He had always loved the unknown. Humans had a strange tendency to survive in places where logic said survival was impossible. He hoped Seraphis 7 would prove that once again. The source of the energy readings was a structure in the distance. Unlike anything built by humans, it was sleek and smooth, like a giant crystal growing out of the ground. It pulsed with a faint light, like it had a heartbeat. Kane approached cautiously, signaling his team to follow. "Keep scanners active. Do not touch anything," he instructed. As they drew closer, the structure's pulses grew stronger. Mara's scanner beeped frantically. "Captain, this energy, it's unlike anything we've cataloged. It's almost alive." "Alive or not," Kane said, "we're going to find out if humans can handle it." He felt a sudden jolt as the ground beneath him vibrated faintly. The pulse from the structure intensified, washing over him in waves. Kane staggered but did not fall. His crew, however, froze, wide-eyed as they struggled to keep their balance. A low hum filled the air, a sound that seemed to penetrate the very bones. Suddenly, a shimmering form appeared around the structure, a being made entirely of light and energy. Its form shifted constantly, impossible to focus on for more than a few seconds at a time. Kane felt a wave of fear and awe. This was not a creature built for human perception. One of the energy beings extended a tendril of light toward the crew. Instantly, the air around it seemed to thicken. Every human except Kane collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Kane felt the energy wash over him. His body burned with heat, his nerves tingled, his senses screamed. Yet he did not fall. He staggered but remained upright, gripping his suit to steady himself. The energy pulse continued, growing in intensity. Kane's crew lay prone, motionless, as if the very atmosphere had been designed to destroy life. And yet, he endured. His nervous system adapted, his muscles flexed instinctively, and his mind raced. Humans had survived in harsher conditions than this: extreme cold, crushing pressures, vacuum of space, and radiation that would have killed any alien species. Somehow, his body and mind adjusted. The energy being seemed to hesitate, as if surprised. It studied Kane with something that almost seemed like curiosity. Kane realized that this was a test, a challenge to see if he, a human, could survive. And survive he did. He took a cautious step forward, feeling the energy thrum against his body. Unlike his unconscious crew, Kane's body did not rebel. His heart pounded, his mind raced, but he felt a strange clarity. Humans were capable of enduring far more than any other known species. It was not strength alone that saved him. It was adaptability, ingenuity, and sheer willpower. Kane knelt beside Mara, gently shaking her. Her eyes fluttered open, confusion and relief mixing in her gaze. "Captain, what happened?" she whispered. "The energy, it's testing us," Kane replied. "We're the only ones who can handle it." His words carried a mix of awe and pride. He helped her to her feet and looked back at the pulsing alien being. "We need to learn from it, not fight it. This is an opportunity." The team regrouped, each member shaken but slowly recovering. Kane issued new orders. "We proceed carefully, observe, record, and most importantly, survive. Humans are built for the impossible. This is just another proof of that." They moved closer to the structure. The ground around it shimmered with strange energy patterns, lines of light that danced like fire across the rocks. Kane reached out to touch the surface, but stopped. He sensed that the structure itself was alive, responding to thought and movement. Every instinct told him to be cautious. One wrong action could destroy them all. Instead, he placed a small scanner near the crystal surface. The device beeped rapidly, analyzing the energy. Kane watched the readouts carefully. The structure was emitting waves that interfered with all known matter. Any living creature exposed to it could not survive, except humans. Every biological test the aliens had designed had failed on other species. Humans, however, showed an unprecedented tolerance. The alien energy being floated closer, extending a tendril of light that hovered just above Kane's shoulder. He did not flinch. Instead, he focused, willing himself to remain calm, to stay in control. His mind raced, trying to understand what the being wanted, what message it carried. And then he realized it was not hostile, it was curious, fascinated even. Kane had a strange smile. Humans had a reputation for surviving the impossible, for adapting when logic said they should fail. Here, in the middle of a dead, alien world, that reputation was being proven once again. "Captain," Mara said softly, "why are we the only ones who can survive this?" Kane considered it. "Because humans don't just endure, they adapt. We think, we improvise, we push beyond what anyone else can. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us human." The team set up a temporary base near the structure. Each member was eager to study it, but wary of triggering another wave of energy. Kane took the first watch, his eyes never leaving the pulsing crystal. Something about it seemed alive in a way no human or alien could fully comprehend. And yet, for all its power, it recognized humanity's resilience. As the sun set over the jagged horizon, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Kane reflected on what they had experienced. Humans had faced countless dangers in their history, from hostile planets to the vacuum of space, but nothing had tested them like this. Nothing had been designed to completely destroy life, and yet, here they stood. That night, as the crew rested in their suits and connected to life support monitors, Kane stayed awake. He thought about the universe, about the countless worlds humans had yet to explore. He thought about how no other species could endure what humans could. And he realized that the universe was about to learn that lesson. The pulse of the structure slowed, almost as if it were communicating. Kane watched intently. He did not understand it yet, but he knew one thing: humans had survived the shock. Humans had endured what no other life form could, and that endurance would change everything. Tomorrow, they would take the first steps into understanding the alien being, the energy, and the tests it posed. And Kane felt a surge of pride. Humans were explorers, survivors, and the most adaptable species in the galaxy. Nothing, not even the most advanced alien life, could break them. For now, however, he allowed himself a rare moment of rest. The twin suns had set, the stars sparkled above, and the alien planet hummed quietly, acknowledging the presence of a species it could not defeat. Humans, unpredictable, resilient, indomitable, and Captain Kane smiled. The adventure had only just begun. The next morning on Seraphis 7, the alien structure pulsed gently in the pale light of the twin suns. Captain Elias Kane awoke early, his mind alert and focused. Unlike the rest of his crew, who had slept uneasily, Kane felt a strange energy coursing through him. A combination of excitement, anticipation, and the ever-present human resilience that had carried them through the previous day's ordeal. "Captain, the readings are off the charts," said Lieutenant Mara Jensen, approaching the observation point. Her face was pale but determined. The energy seems to be responding to our presence. Kane nodded. Exactly. It's not just a static structure. It's aware. And it's testing us. The crew gathered around, scanning the alien being that had appeared yesterday. It hovered near the crystal, tendrils of light moving rhythmically as if in communication. Kane studied it closely. Humans are unpredictable, he said. That's why it can't defeat us, but it will try to challenge us in every way it can. Their first test came without warning. The crystal pulsed violently, sending a wave of energy across the planet's surface. The humans were thrown off their feet as gravity seemed to shift wildly, pressing them against the ground with crushing force before almost instantly releasing them. The alien being observed silently, its light forming shapes that resembled a mocking smile. "Brace yourselves," Kane shouted, anchoring himself against a rock. His crew struggled, some tumbling awkwardly, but humans were not easily broken. They adapted, planting their feet, adjusting their posture, and moving with the unpredictable gravity rather than against it. Kane realized that no alien species would have survived this. Their physiology could not withstand the sudden changes in pressure and force. But humans could endure, improvise, and overcome. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, the gravity normalized. The team was exhausted but unbroken. Mara wiped sweat from her brow and laughed softly. "We survived. Humans really are something else." Kane smiled, helping her to her feet. "Not just survived, Lieutenant, we adapted. That's the difference. Other species would have failed." The second test came soon after. The crystal emitted a pulse that warped the environment. Rocks and terrain shifted, twisting into shapes that made navigation difficult. One moment the path ahead seemed straight, the next, it appeared to loop back impossibly. Kane realized the aliens were testing their spatial awareness, their ability to think in ways that defied conventional logic. "Keep moving," Kane commanded, his voice steady despite the disorienting landscape. He used his instincts and observation skills to lead the crew, adjusting to each new shift in terrain. His crew followed, learning quickly to trust his judgment. Mara and the others discovered that panic would only make them fail. Calm, reasoned action, human ingenuity was the key. Hours later, the terrain stabilized. Kane allowed the crew a moment to breathe. "Notice something?" he asked. "The crystal is creating challenges based on perception and adaptability, not strength alone. This is why humans survive where others fail. We don't just react, we think, we solve problems, we endure." The third test pushed them even further. The alien being emitted waves that interfered with their neurological functions, making it difficult to concentrate. The humans experienced strange visions. Memories mingled with illusions, fears surfaced, and the ground seemed to move beneath them. Panic struck at first, but Kane's voice cut through the chaos. "Focus. Use what you know. Trust yourselves and each other." Humans had a unique mental resilience, honed through thousands of years of evolution. Where other species would have been overwhelmed by fear or confusion, Kane and his crew focused on patterns, on logic, and on the bonds they shared. Slowly, they navigated the illusions, reaching a plateau where the visions could not disturb them. "See that?" Kane said, pointing to the crystal. "It's fascinated. It has never encountered beings who can handle such mental pressure and still function." By now, the team was learning more about the alien being than they could have imagined. It was a researcher, a tester, a judge of life forms, and humans were passing every trial. Yet Kane knew the ultimate test was still ahead, the one that would prove not just survival but ingenuity, courage, and teamwork. Night fell on Seraphis 7, though night was relative under the twin suns. The crew set up camp near the crystal, their suits still active, monitoring the alien energy. Kane remained awake for hours, studying the shifting light patterns of the being. He realized the alien was learning as much about them as they were about it. "This is incredible," Mara whispered beside him. We're being studied, tested, and we're holding our own. Kane nodded. Exactly. Humans don't just survive the impossible, we thrive in it. Every challenge the universe throws at us only makes us stronger, smarter, and more creative. This is what makes us remarkable. The fourth test began suddenly. The crystal's pulse intensified, creating an extreme temperature wave. The heat rose sharply, then plunged into freezing cold within seconds. Kane felt his body respond instinctively. He adjusted his suit's temperature regulators, moved carefully, and helped his crew do the same. Humans had survived deserts, ice worlds, and the vacuum of space. Their bodies were remarkably adaptable, and their minds allowed them to improvise solutions on the spot. Through the heat and cold, the illusions, and the distorted gravity, Kane led his team with a calm authority that inspired confidence. Humans were not the fastest or strongest creatures in the galaxy, but they were persistent, resourceful, and unbreakable in the face of impossible odds. When the final wave passed, the crystal's pulses slowed. The alien being moved closer, its tendrils of light almost bowing toward Kane and his team. The humans had endured challenges designed to destroy life itself. Yet here they stood, exhausted but unbowed. Mara looked at Kane, awe and admiration shining in her eyes. "Captain, we actually did it. We survived everything it threw at us." Kane smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We didn't just survive, we adapted. That's the difference. Humans endure, humans overcome, and no other species in the galaxy can match that." The alien being extended a tendril toward Kane again, this time more gently. It seemed to study him closely, almost as if it were taking notes, observing the nuances of human endurance and intellect. Kane realized that the being was not just a tester, it was a teacher, and humans were proving themselves worthy of knowledge and understanding far beyond any ordinary species. The team spent the next day exploring the crystal's immediate surroundings, collecting data and scanning the alien energy. Every new reading reinforced what they had already discovered. Humans were uniquely capable of surviving and adapting to impossible environments. Where other species had fallen, humanity had endured. "Captain," said Dr. Rahul Mehta, the team's scientist, "it's almost as if the alien being is trying to communicate. The energy pulses have patterns almost like language." Kane studied the readings carefully. "It may be a form of communication, yes. And if it is, humans will figure it out. That's what makes us extraordinary. We don't just survive, we learn, we understand, and we adapt. The universe has no idea what it's in for." By the end of the second day, the crew was physically and mentally exhausted, but their spirits were high. They had faced the unimaginable and prevailed. Kane gathered them together, his voice steady and proud. "Remember this," he said, looking each of them in the eye. "Every species has limits. Every species has weaknesses. Humans, we have endurance, intelligence, and creativity that no other known life form can match. That's why we survived. That's why we continue to push into the unknown. And that's why the universe will never underestimate humanity again." As the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Kane and his crew prepared for the next stage of exploration. The tests had revealed human strengths and weaknesses, and the alien being seemed more curious than ever. Kane reflected on what they had endured. Gravity that could crush bones, mental illusions that could shatter minds, extreme temperatures that could freeze or burn to death. Yet humans had adapted. Humans had survived. Humans had proved once again that no creature could endure what humanity could. The night was calm, but Kane knew the ultimate test was still to come. The crystal pulsed gently, as if anticipating what humans would do next. Kane allowed himself a rare moment of pride. Humanity had passed trials that would have killed any other species, and they were still standing. Tomorrow, they would face even greater challenges, trials designed to push them to the edge of endurance and beyond. and Kane knew that humans would rise to meet them, as they always did. For humans were not just survivors. They were explorers, thinkers, creators, and warriors in the truest sense. And no matter what the universe threw at them, they would endure. The morning light on Seraphis 7 brought no comfort. The alien structure pulsed with a strange, mesmerizing rhythm, as if preparing for something more intense. Captain Elias Kane stood at the observation point, staring at the crystal. His crew moved quietly around him, alert but tense. They had endured impossible tests, gravity shifts, extreme temperatures, illusions that threatened their minds. But Kane knew the ultimate trial was about to arrive. "Captain," Mara said quietly, scanning the energy readings, "the structure it's changing. The pulses are faster, stronger, more complex. I think it knows we've learned from the previous tests." Kane nodded. "Then we need to be ready. Whatever it throws at us now won't just test our bodies, it will test our minds, our instincts, and our ability to work together. Humans are good at surviving, but today we'll show we can thrive in impossible conditions." No warning came. One moment the ground was calm, the next it began to shift violently. Rocks and soil floated, twisted, and reformed around them, defying all logic. The air thickened, making every breath a struggle. Kane shouted orders, moving with practiced agility. "Stick together. Move with the terrain, not against it." The crystal's energy pulse intensified, and suddenly the entire environment seemed to fold in on itself. Gravity twisted in multiple directions at once. Mara nearly lost her balance, but Kane caught her arm just in time. "Humans adapt," he shouted. "We think faster, move smarter, survive together." Their movements became a careful dance, each step calculated. Humans were not the strongest, nor the fastest, but their brains gave them an edge no alien species could match. While others would have panicked, Kane and his crew assessed patterns in the chaos. They predicted shifts, adjusted their balance, and used the alien terrain to their advantage. Dr. Rahul made a gasp as he scanned the shifting landscape. "Captain, the environment is reacting to our decisions. Every move we make, every thought we act on changes the terrain. It's almost like it's learning from us." Kane considered this. "Exactly, and that's why it will never defeat humans. We're unpredictable, we improvise, we learn faster than it can adapt. That's what makes us extraordinary." Then came the illusions, visions that assaulted their senses. Each crew member saw fears made real. Mara saw herself lost forever in the alien labyrinth. Rahul experienced endless waves of crushing pressure. Kane's own mind filled with images of failure, of humans being erased from the universe. Panic struck at first, but Kane's voice cut through the chaos. "Remember who you are. Humans endure. Humans think. Humans conquer challenges that no other species can survive." The crew focused, relying on logic and memory rather than instinct. Kane led them through the illusions, pointing out inconsistencies and patterns in the shifting environment. Slowly, they regained control. The alien being observed silently, its light flickering with curiosity. It had never seen life forms overcome illusions that attacked both body and mind simultaneously. The terrain shifted again, forming a vast canyon filled with sharp, crystalline spikes. Below, the ground seemed unstable, ready to collapse at any moment. The crystal's pulse reached a crescendo. This was a final test of teamwork, courage, and ingenuity. Kane looked at his crew. "We can't just react, we have to plan, divide into pairs, use the scanners, watch each other's backs. Humans survive because we cooperate. That's what makes us stronger than any other species." The team moved cautiously, pairing off to navigate the canyon. Mara and Kane took the lead, using a combination of observation and intuition to find safe paths. Rahul and another crew member stabilized loose rocks to create temporary bridges. Every movement was deliberate, every decision critical. Humans were not merely surviving, they were creating solutions on the fly, adapting instantly to impossible situations. A sudden pulse from the crystal caused part of the canyon floor to collapse. Kane's quick reflexes saved Mara from falling, while Rahul grabbed a sliding rock to prevent it from crushing their path. The crew moved as one unit, their minds and bodies perfectly synchronized. "Humans endure the impossible," Kane said aloud, though the words were meant as reassurance to himself as much as to his crew. "We survive because we think, we adapt, and we act together. No alien challenge can break that." Hours passed in what felt like moments. The canyon seemed endless, filled with ever-changing obstacles. But the crew pushed forward, relying on every skill they had honed through history: problem-solving, teamwork, observation, and sheer resilience. Finally, they reached a plateau. The crystal's pulse slowed, almost as if acknowledging their achievement. The energy being hovered above them, tendrils of light forming patterns that Kane instinctively understood as approval. They had completed the ultimate test. Humans had not only survived, they had thrived. Kane looked at his crew, exhausted but exhilarated. "We've done it. Every trial, every danger, and we're still standing. Humans are not just survivors. We are adaptable, intelligent, and indomitable." Mara smiled, brushing dust from her suit. "I never imagined we could handle something like that. Other species would have been destroyed instantly. We're special." "More than special," Kane replied. "Humans are remarkable. We endure challenges no one else can, and we turn them into opportunities to grow stronger. That's why the universe has never seen a species like us." The alien being extended a tendril of light toward Kane, its movement slow and deliberate. It seemed almost reverent, acknowledging humanity's resilience. Kane felt a strange connection, as if the being recognized not only survival but intelligence, courage, and the ability to learn. Humans were not merely enduring. They were teaching, inspiring, and proving that life could rise above limits that seemed insurmountable. As night fell, Kane and his crew set up a temporary camp. The terrain had stabilized, and the alien being hovered quietly, observing from a distance. The crew shared stories of their experiences, laughing and marveling at the challenges they had overcome. Each moment reinforced what Kane had known all along. Humans were extraordinary, capable of surviving where no other life form could. Dr. Maida studied the energy patterns from the crystal. "Captain, it's as if the being is offering us guidance, knowledge. It's recognizing humans as something unique in the galaxy." Kane nodded, gazing at the pulsing light. "It's more than recognition, it's respect. Humans endure, adapt, and overcome. That's why we're here, why we explore, and why no challenge can truly defeat us." The crew fell asleep under the alien sky, the twin suns casting dim light across the landscape. Kane remained awake, keeping watch. He reflected on the past 2 days. Gravity that twisted and threatened to crush them, illusions that attacked their minds, temperatures that swung from unbearable heat to freezing cold. Humans had endured all of it, not because of sheer strength, but because of adaptability, intelligence, and the unwavering will to survive. Tomorrow, they would begin communicating with the alien being, learning its purpose, its knowledge, and its history. Kane felt anticipation, knowing that humanity's resilience had earned them an unprecedented opportunity. The universe had tested humans and found them exceptional, and Kane smiled, thinking about the future. Humans were not just explorers. They were conquerors of the impossible, thinkers in the face of chaos, and survivors against all odds. No creature, no matter how advanced, could endure what humans could. As the crystal pulsed softly, Kane whispered to himself, "The universe doesn't understand humans yet, but it will." For on Seraphis 7, humans had proven once again that endurance, ingenuity, and courage were qualities no other species could match. They were adaptable, they were brilliant, and they were unstoppable. And that was only the beginning. The morning sun of Seraphis 7 rose slowly over the jagged landscape, painting the world in soft shades of orange and gold. Captain Elias Kane stood at the edge of the plateau, watching the alien crystal pulse gently. Unlike the tests of the previous days, there was no sudden shift in gravity, no twisting illusions, no crushing temperature swings. Instead, there was calm, a quiet anticipation that even Kane could feel in his bones. The alien being hovered above the crystal, its tendrils of light forming patterns that seemed almost like words, though humans had no language to understand them. Kane studied the patterns carefully, realizing that the pulses were an attempt at communication. After all the trials, the being was no longer testing them. It was speaking, in the only way it knew how. Mara approached him, eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, do you think it's acknowledging us?" Kane nodded slowly. "More than that, it respects us. We've proven that humans endure what no other species can. Now it wants to share knowledge and maybe even join us in understanding the universe." The crew gathered around, still weary but alert, ready to witness what would come next. The crystal pulsed in a rhythmic pattern, and Kane felt a strange warmth in his chest. He realized that the alien being was opening a path, not just for knowledge but for alliance. Humans had endured trials that would have destroyed any other life form, and now they had earned recognition. Dr. Rahul Mehta, the team's scientist, adjusted his scanners. "Captain, the energy patterns, they're forming complex data streams. I think it's giving us information about the planet, the crystal, and maybe even its civilization." Kane smiled. "Humans survive, humans adapt, humans learn, and now we are being rewarded for it. This is why the universe has never seen a species like us." The alien being extended a tendril of light toward Kane. It touched the air near him, forming a holographic projection. Kane and his crew saw images of distant galaxies, star systems, and strange planets, some habitable, some hostile, and others unlike anything humans had imagined. The crystal's pulses translated into knowledge, showing patterns of energy, life, and interstellar navigation far beyond human technology. Mara gasped. "It's incredible. This knowledge could change everything for humanity." Kane nodded, feeling pride swell in his chest. "It will, but we must remember, humans didn't earn this because we're the strongest. We earned it because we endure, we adapt, and we think. No other species could have survived the tests we faced." The crystal's light shifted, forming a map of Seraphis 7 and highlighting areas of the planet rich with energy. Kane understood immediately. The aliens were offering humans guidance, showing them where to explore, what to study, and how to use the planet's resources responsibly. It was a gift and a recognition of humanity's potential. Over the next hours, the crew worked to decode and record the information. Kane realized that the alien being was not just testing them, it was mentoring them. Humans had survived challenges designed to destroy life, and now they were being entrusted with knowledge that could propel them into the next stage of interstellar exploration. Mara looked at Kane with awe. "Captain, do you realize what this means? Humans, our species, has been recognized as capable of surviving the impossible. No other species could have done this." Kane's eyes shone. "Exactly. Humans are explorers, problem solvers, survivors, and this is only the beginning. The universe is vast, filled with dangers and wonders, but humans are built for it. No matter what comes, we will endure and thrive." As the day progressed, the alien being communicated more directly, teaching them to harness the energy of the crystal. Kane and his crew learned to manipulate energy flows, create temporary shelters, and even generate small pulses of energy to probe other areas of the planet safely. Every skill was a demonstration of human intelligence and adaptability. By evening, the crew had established a functioning base near the crystal. They had endured trials that no alien species could survive, decoded knowledge that had never been offered to outsiders, and adapted to challenges that had defied imagination. Kane felt an overwhelming sense of pride. Humans had proven themselves once again, not through brute force, but through endurance, ingenuity, and courage. Dr. Maida approached Kane, holding a tablet filled with data. Captain, this knowledge, it could revolutionize humanity's understanding of the galaxy. Faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, sustainable colonization. The aliens are giving us tools, not just tests. Kane nodded. And we earned it. Not because we are perfect, but because we adapt, endure, and overcome. That is the essence of humanity. No other life form could have survived what we did here. That is our greatest strength. The night fell, and the twin suns disappeared behind the jagged horizon. The crystal's light dimmed, casting a soft glow over the camp. Kane walked among his crew, checking on each of them. They were exhausted but exhilarated, their faces glowing with pride and wonder. Mara smiled at him. "Captain, do you think other civilizations will recognize humans the way this being does?" Kane chuckled softly. "They will, Mara. They'll learn soon enough. Humans are unpredictable, resilient, and capable of surviving challenges no one else can, and that makes us remarkable. The universe doesn't understand us yet, but it will." The alien being pulsed gently, almost as if nodding in agreement. Kane felt a sense of connection, a recognition that humans had not only survived but proven their worth in a way that transcended physical and mental limits. Humans were explorers, innovators, and survivors, and their journey had only just begun. Over the next days, the crew continued to study the crystal, learning its secrets and documenting every discovery. They realized that Seraphis 7 could become a hub for human exploration, a place to test limits, gather knowledge, and expand humanity's reach across the stars. Kane addressed his crew one final time before departing the planet. "We came here as explorers, tested in ways no human has ever been tested before. We faced impossible challenges, gravity, illusions, extreme temperatures, mental strain, and we endured. We adapted, we solved problems, and we survived where no other species could. This is humanity. This is what makes us extraordinary, and the universe has just begun to recognize it." The alien being hovered above them one last time, pulsing gently. Kane felt a silent acknowledgement, a promise that humans had earned the respect of a species far beyond their understanding. The crystal had shared its knowledge, and humanity had proven it could use it wisely. As the humans boarded their ship, ready to return to human-controlled space, Kane looked back at Seraphis 7. The alien world had tested them, challenged them, and revealed humanity's true strength. Humans were resilient, creative, and courageous, capable of enduring what no other life form could survive. The stars stretched out before them, endless and inviting. Kane knew that this was only the beginning. Humans would continue to explore, to endure, and to thrive in the face of the impossible. The universe would soon understand that humans were not just survivors, they were extraordinary. And as the ship lifted off, leaving the alien planet behind, Kane allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. Humanity had passed the ultimate test. They had faced the impossible, endured it, and emerged victorious. Humans were explorers, thinkers, problem solvers, and survivors. They were resilient beyond measure, creative beyond imagination, and courageous beyond fear. The universe had tested them and found them unmatched, and that truth would follow humanity across the stars. Wherever there were challenges, wherever danger threatened, humans would endure. Humans would adapt. Humans would triumph. For no creature, no matter how advanced, could endure what humans could, and the galaxy would never forget it. Captain Kane smiled, gazing at the infinite stars ahead. Humanity had proven itself once again, and the adventure had only just begun.